Well, hello and welcome to another edition of 907 Sports. I'm Jordan Rodenberger. This is Tyler Lane. And wow, a lot has went down just since our last edition of 907 Sports last week. The Olympics wrapped up, the
Yeah.
Iron Dog finished, we had a new sled dog race introduced, and we had a longtime coach retire. All things we will get to, as this February-March time is definitely much more of a 2-month sprint rather than a marathon.
Yeah, Jordan, I jotted it down over here. Tell me if you've ever seen something kind of happen or had a crazier month than this between having a Super Bowl with an Alaskan in
Yes.
it, Olympics with Alaskans, state hockey, Iron Dog kind of starting around the same time, Iditarod previews, things
Yep.
like that, state ski.
Yes.
15,000 things I know we were all talking about during the holiday break of like, man, it's like we don't have much to do. And then all of a sudden,
Boom, there it
here
is.
you go. There's what you
Yes.
wished for.
And a big state basketball tournaments are right around the corner as well. So all things we're looking forward to get to. But as far as in this edition of 907 Sports, we may as well start on the biggest stage, the global stage, the Olympics, where we had about a dozen or so Alaskans competing on that stage against the best in the world, and even coming away with a few medals, which we'll get to, of course, in a second. But what was really cool is in this year's games, a lot of them making their Olympic debut, and they can forever say they're Olympians. You know, no one can take that from them, including Anchorage skiers Hunter Wonders and Zandon McMullen competing in a couple cross-country ski races. Diamond High grad Peter Hines competed in 5 events for Slovakia. Kendall Kramer putting on for Fairbanks in a pair of events, 26th place in that grueling 50K race they had going on as well. And Rosie Brennan, she's been one of the main faces, staples of APU for about a decade now, and ahead of the games, she said this is likely her last Olympic Games, but in her third and what may be her final games, she definitely put on some amazing performances as well, competing in 3 events and seeing a top 15 finish in the 50K. And then shout out Maxime Germain. He's from Juneau, went to West Anchorage High School. He competed in 4 biathlon events, including, you know, some of Team USA's best finishes they've ever seen in the biathlon, including in that 5th place relay finish. So amazing shout out to the many Alaskans who competed at the Winter Olympic Games, and already has us looking forward to 2028 Summer Games and then even the 2030 Winter Games. Excited for that. But as I mentioned, some medals. February 18th, history was made. Gus Schumacher teaming up with Ben Ogden to take silver in the men's team sprint. A strong finish down the stretch. Some of his best work we've seen of him on the skis. Just the 3rd American man to win a cross-country skiing medal, the 2nd Alaskan ever behind Keegan Randall. And the U.S., you know, they have arrived when it comes to this sport, cross-country skiing, something that we didn't have many medals in years past. And now Keegan Randall, Gus Schumacher, putting on for not just the state, but also the entire country. So we had to get some reaction on that Gus Schumacher historic moment for sure.
I am still jittering with excitement. That was an exciting call, an exciting race. Kind of knew going into it that those guys had an absolute shot at a medal. But I think what surprised me the most is how aggressive and just commanding they skied in that race. It was gutsy, but it was backed up with strength, and just absolutely so happy for those guys. Then going into the last lap, man, Ben just went for it, and he was leading up the course's big climb. Norway only slipstreamed past him on the downhill, but he put Gus in just a perfect position. So then on that final lap, they headed out, and Johannes Klæbo, now the greatest Winter Olympian of all time, was leading it out, but like Gus went with him. And that put Italy on their heels, Switzerland on their heels, Sweden kind of started to go backwards. And then Gus just power skated all the way in. So it just, those guys were like literally making moves that made the race. And yeah, Norway won, but I think it was USA that really made it exciting. And I think what makes me so excited and so proud right now is this silver medal that Gus is going to bring home to Alaska is now setting the stage for our, the whole next generation. And we have to remember that until Ben's silver medal a week ago, it had been 50 years since a U.S. man had won an Olympic medal. And now in the span of a week, we have 2 medals, or I guess you can almost say 3. And so that's huge, and I think, it took 50 years, and then all of a sudden it's going to start happening sooner and sooner, because that power of belief is really important. And I think too, the system, you can say we have a system now because there's been multiple medals, and that's, really encouraging for our skiers. What I love about Gus's story is I got to talk to him before the season, And we were talking about, the Anchorage trails and how he grew up in Anchorage. And he was talking about being a junior Nordic kid, watching the high school skiers go by and kind of going, I want to be like that someday, because the high school skiers were the pinnacle at that point, and then he's built up. And so we have to keep that culture strong in Anchorage, use Gus's medal as inspiration so that we can create, future generations of more Olympic medalists, hopefully, but also just a really strong community that believes in healthy outdoor activity.
He was 8 years old. What I said a couple of times, he was, very willing to train and didn't hold back. So it was very fun to actually coach him. Most important for me was that he enjoyed, to train. He followed this process. He loved it. We fix so many things. Make sure he can lose. There's no shame to lose. So many days what you start not believe it anymore, right? So many days then you can have hard time to actually continue and stay focused.
I think it's really cool just to see someone, especially from your own team, going to the Olympics and doing so great. It's inspiring.
I feel like we all kind of started at some place, and to know that he did the same program as us is oh, well, he did the same thing as us. We could probably do something similar.
I think it's great that they talked about there because that's exactly what I was going to touch on following this up. I remember in 2018, growing up in Florida, watching Keegan Rando, watching the Rosie Brennans do their thing in the Olympics as someone that had no idea I was going to come to Alaska, right? And so you think about that, now someone can watch what someone like Gus has done or some of these other people that are bringing home medals. We'll show you more of that in a moment. But just think about that from their perspective, not just of, investments, think people going, well, now I can maybe go to Alaska and do the same thing. Right. I can get the training. Maybe people will go, I can invest in those trails, make some money off of that, of all the people that think this is the place to be. But now it starts sparking it. We kind of saw it with Alyssa Peely in basketball and her career wanting to represent Native athletes of, I didn't have someone to look up to, so I became it, right? Now you have that in the Olympic sides. Obviously, we've had a little more examples of that lately than maybe in basketball, but you're seeing that more now, exactly. Now someone can look at Gus and go, oh, okay, well, that's someone that's from here, that's been born here, raised here, trained here, done their things, and now can take the lead, maybe turn that into gold, maybe turn that into multiple. It sets a tone that can be continued throughout the future, and that's the best part of this, I think.
No doubt about it. Well said there. And going to the high school state meet this past weekend, the boys ski meister is Jack Levesque. He's a service grad like Gus.
Yeah.
He's a Alaska Winter Stars like Gus, and he of course looks up to Gus very much, big inspiration. And then the girls ski meister, Mia Stiasny, is already a member of the APU Nordic ski program, so she trains with these Olympians, and so that's huge for the future of Alaska sports and cross-country skiing as well. And amazing about these Olympics is what was amazing that was we weren't done making history yet, of course, because in that 2026 gold medal hockey game, that was an all-timer of U.S. pulling off the win over Canada in overtime, that first gold medal since the Miracle on Ice 1980. And a part of that gold medal run, of course, Anchorage's very own Jeremy Swayman. He started in net in a win over Denmark on the way to gold and took part of history in that celebration on Sunday morning. I know a lot of Alaskans were up very early, about 4 a.m. to check that one out, including myself. Swayman, he sharpened his skates, put on those pads. First time was in Alaska around our rinks. He played for the Alaska All-Stars, South Anchorage High. First Alaskan to win a gold medal in Olympic hockey, and it was just an all-time moment, not only for the state, the sport, but for the country as well. So we had to get some reaction from that around as well.
Obviously, Sway being able to do that and being an Alaska-born goaltender is pretty amazing. So to see him in the celebration yesterday is pretty cool, and I bet there'll be a lot of young goaltenders coming up in the state of Alaska that'll wanting to emulate him, right?
There's a sense of pride, so it would definitely be brought up with his accomplishments, and then definitely making the U.S. team was like, oh, that's pretty amazing, another South grad at the Olympics, and then the gold medal is huge.
He's extremely prideful of being from Alaska. He has the outline of the state on the back of his helmet, on his back plate, so I know he's really proud of Alaska. and he's proud of where he come from, and as he should be. He's laying footprints for a lot of young kids up there, which is that's all you want to do, is lay some footprints for other people to follow.
And let's just talk about the run that Alaskan athletes have been on over these last, let's say the last decade of Olympics. Keegan in 2018. Mm-hmm. You've got Lydia, who I think everyone knows about at this point from around the country, 2020. Kristen Faulkner last year, a couple years ago. Now that one's going to be an all-timer at this stage.
Kelter in that same Olympic Games.
And now to have another one be a part of such a historic moment, because you remember Kristen was the first win in cycling in a very long time. Mm-hmm. Keegan was a historic medal in that sense. Lydia, same thing. Yeah, Swayman now. Everyone talks about that Miracle on Ice team and just how big of a story that is in sports. This whole Disney movie made after it. I mean, come on. For him to be a part of that, to be associated with that type of history, that's just something truly incredible. And it amazes me just how much Alaska is finding itself imprinted in all these certain historic moments.
Right. It's not just, hey, an Alaskan made the Olympics.
Exactly.
It's, hey, Alaska's a part of Olympic history, and they're taking home medals, which is incredible considering it's the highest level of that said sport. Mm-hmm. So hats off, congratulations, shout out to all of the Alaskan Olympians, and I'm sure it was a fun few weeks for Alaska sports fans following along at home, and we definitely had fun covering that one. Definitely a fun couple weeks there.
No, most definitely. Do we jump right into next thing?
Well, how about we actually take a little bit of a break, and then we'll come back with some Iron Dog and more Alaska sports in 907 right after the break. Well, hello and welcome back to 907 Sports. And Tyler, we just we were both on the trail of the Iron Dog. I did the McGrath stint, you did the Nome stint.
Lucky.
And let's just say that it is known as the world's longest, toughest snow machine race, and I believe it lived up to that slogan this year and maybe even beyond that.
Yes, let's talk about that a little bit. Jordan, while you were handling that Olympic history, I was busy getting a little frozen in Nome, as we say, and that's because of the start of the Iron Dog snow machine race. We're going to kind of recap everything that happened because this was just a race for the ages. 30 teams all vying for their shot at becoming the 42nd champion of the event. You can see the snow come down here at the start. This year's lineup welcoming back 5 riders who had already earned that title at least twice in the championship category. Again, this weather from the very start here as Team 7 takes off. Snow was coming down throughout the entire morning of this thing.
They didn't know what was ahead of them, though.
Yeah, we thought, oh, just visibility at the start, they'll be fine. And then things, as we kind of saw, weather conditions becoming more of a factor throughout the event. As we take a look here at the ice, that decided many, like our ex-girlfriends in high school, saying we need a break. Let's take a head out. The ice there in Elam on the sea ice decided it needed a break. It walked out on these riders, and the weather conditions from there kind of making a host of issues throughout the whole way. Before that, these riders had to take a break at Kotzebue due to weather conditions, blowing wind. If you take a look back on social media and see some of I'm shocked there's still snow with how strong some of this wind was at certain points. And from there, as you saw with that sea ice changing, we thought, yeah, maybe it's just a thing. They'll take a back trail. Well, they took what's called the mail trail near Elam, right? And that, as you can see in these pictures, brought its own list of challenges. They were dealing with, at the time, what was being reported was 2 to 3 feet of new snow. I think I said inches at one point on there. That was a little bit of a miscommunication on that end. But you can see it, the snow, the brush, these riders were really dealing with that. That caused a whole list of other issues with course time. As you saw, this group that was breaking trail, they were still on the clock. Right? So that little cluster that was built up there was still getting race time. Team 14 there specifically, they were leading by 30 minutes at the time when they got to that point. That forced them there. By the time they got to Nome, they were in 5th place. Think about just how much time got built up plowing through all that trail. And so that left the door open for team number 7, Tyler Ackelstad, Nick Olstad. If you take a look at this, they're the Iron Dog champions after all of that. Once again, the 4th time they have done this in their careers together. Just an amazing thing when you think about it. They held that lead from Nome the rest of the way, no other issues. I know there was a lot of confusion at the time between how's course time going to shake up. That was something we were thinking about, the delays getting into Nome. But once again, Team 7, Tyler Ackelstad, Nick Olstad, for the 4th time together as a pair, Iron Dog champions, as they spoke again after the race.
You know, in the snowmobile world, it's just iconic, and it's Nick and I have both been very lucky to have great success in it, and everyone's unique in its own way, and just we cherish all of them. This one's, like I said, this one's going to have many of its own stories, but it's amazing, and it's great to be here.
And records holders too, when you think about it, at least for Olstad specifically, that was his 7th win all told in this race. So he's now tied with, Scott Davis and John Feo. Ackelstad, meanwhile, that was his 5th win as well. So he's won it one more other time besides this one. So, I mean, just in general, pure dominance for them, and obviously playing into their strategy there of saying, hey, we'll let these guys break trail. You guys go out there, wear out your machines, wear out your fuel, all that kind of stuff. We're going to sit here, kind of let y'all deal with it and go from there. No, so it worked out for sure.
No, they played it smart, and talking GOAT status now, most as a tandem, and then with Olstad tying the record there, Iron Dog legends and active ones is that, so we'll see if they'll be back to defend their title. I'm sure they'll be off the trail there.
I wonder where, like at this point, if you've won 7 of these things, like do you ever run out of trophy space at a certain point? Like, do you have to, if you've already cleared certain spots in your house for 1 trophy, 2, 3, 4, at what point do you go, maybe I move this to a hallway or into the garage or something, like start adjusting where you're putting it when you run out of that?
No. So all-time Iron Dog, really 2026 in the books, and around this time is like post-Yukon Quest and pre-Iditarod, and that's usually slower in the mushing world, but there's actually a new sled dog race introduced this year. It's called the Sioux Dog 300, taking place in Willow, which is often referred to as the mushing capital of the world, and they actually hadn't had a race since 2023, the Willow 300, and so it wouldn't be long before like a new race took over and filled that role because it's the historic trails. It's the official start of the Iditarod, so you just knew that there's going to be out one day another race filling its place, and that is the Sioux Dog 300. It took off on Saturday, so we got some sights and sounds and excitement surrounding that sled dog race. You just got to hear the dogs yapping for a little bit because they're so excited to get out on the trail. And it was really a lot of them. What's amazing is signups were filled up within 5 minutes of it opening up. So people were hovering around the computer, refreshing, making sure they want to be in on it. because it's a great trail, great race introduction, and it's good that that is back. And there's only a couple Iditarod teams in this race, but really Eddie Burke Jr. at the end of the day ran away with this one. Him and his team won by a significant margin in the Sioux Dog 300, but good to see a race back in Willow.
Yeah, definitely. You touched it. Something that has so much history in this state, in this sport. I mean, I come from Ocala, Florida, where we call ourselves the horse capital of the world, and you look around and see all the farms and such around there. So same situation here, to have a race back in the place that is now the for the longest time, the sled dog capital of the world, the place where the Iditarod officially starts. I mean, it just feels right to see these guys and all these four-legged athletes taking off here once again.
Yeah, it's active trail right now. Iditarod Invitational, people on foot, bike, and ski are on it. We have the junior Iditarod starting on there on Saturday, and then of course the Willow restart of Iditarod coming the following week. So great time to be out in Willow. Now we are getting close to this extended edition of 907 Sports. If you're enjoying your time here, thank you for tuning in. And some news came out from the University of Alaska Anchorage on Monday. Longtime head coach of the UAA men's basketball program, Rusty Osborne, submitting his letter of resignation on Monday. The team announcing he'll be retiring at the end of this season. Shout out to him, longtime head coach there. And so got a chance to sit down, chat with him a little bit, reflect on a 35-year career within the UAA basketball program. So here's a little bit about the Rusty Osborne retirement.
This way, John's going to come up through the middle.
After 22 seasons as head coach and 35 total with the UAA men's basketball program, Rusty Osborne is stepping away from the sidelines after this season.
Well, in reality, it's a pretty easy decision.
As he turns his time and attention to supporting his mother.
My father died when I was 10. She raised 3 boys, so she was the mother and father for a lot of times. She lives 3,000 miles away, and it's as simple as that. I need to spend time with her if I can.
And how does one measure the impact of a 3.5-decade coaching career?
You know, a converge, we have to do them really well.
Numerically, it looks like 380 wins and counting, 11 20-win seasons, 11 NCAA tournament appearances, and helping 45 players advance to the pro ranks during his tenure.
You know, I probably could have won a few more games if I had taken a few more chances on certain types of players. But that's not what I wanted to do. We concentrated on getting good basketball players who were good citizens, who would give back to the community, who were going to go to class, and but no regrets in that path.
But for Coach Oz, as he's known around the hardwoods, he hopes his impact is beyond the wins and losses.
I mean, there's probably some of them that say I was pretty strict, I was pretty stubborn, but it was really just for them. I think the rewarding times are when you get pushback from them, and then there's that day where that turns, and they're appreciative.
An impact from youth players at a local kids camp to the hundreds of student athletes who have come to play for him from all over the world.
Man, so I met him when I was probably in like 3rd or 4th grade, and I just remember him being like super nice to me at the camp, and like I never ever thought like, oh, like he might be my coach one day playing at UAA, but then things happen. I hit the portal, and then I talked to the assistant coach, but when I talked to him, he was super nice, super honest, and I knew it was something I wanted to be around and something to finish my college career with.
Arriving from Texas in 1991 as an assistant coach.
Man, you got the Harry Potter glasses. That look like him, but it don't look like him.
Osborne has made Alaska home.
It's a great place to raise a family. Great people here. And so I stayed.
And leaves a lasting legacy in Alaska college basketball. What do you hope your legacy is that you leave behind here with UAA men's basketball program?
That I took care of the program. That, I don't know, our teams represented UAA, Alaska in the right way. We gave back to the community. Certainly there's things to criticize. None of us are perfect. But yeah, I hope in the end that's what people think. He did it the right way. Even in his mistakes, he tried to he tried to do the right thing, and we could be proud of that team.
Manu's legacy not soon forgotten. 35 years with the program, 22 as the head coach. One of the first things I believe I ever experienced here in Alaska was the opening, I believe, of 2023, 2024, somewhere around that UAA men's basketball practice, and just seeing this man for the first time. He was a hard coach. My first impression was, oh man, this guy is, doesn't take much, but seeing him throughout the years, obviously when Caden, one of his daughters, was playing for the volleyball team, and getting to see the softer side of him, as both a coach and as sometimes a fan when other events were going on, incredible human being, and someone I think the program's going to miss for sure.
No, and it's a unique spot. Division II college basketball coach in Alaska. It's not necessarily a lifetime position all the time for everybody, but know that he made that. He cemented his legacy. We'll have to put his name, something in the rafters with Coach Osborne there. How many players he's impacted and wins he's gathered over the years.
Of note, and now throw this into the equation for UAA now. Think about it from the basketball team. They've had this legacy of leadership between Osborne and before this year, Ryan McCarthy. Now suddenly having to replace two very tenured coaches.
Yeah.
We're going to see how that kind of affects the program moving forward. For sure.
Absolutely. Last two home games for Rusty Osborne and the UAA Seawolves this season, this Thursday and then Saturday as well. Saturday, senior night. He said he wants it to be senior night, not to be Rusty night. Just kind of guy he is there. But that is going to do it. We're going to wrap up this edition of 907 Sports. We appreciate you tuning in. I'm sure we'll have a lot of more stuff to talk about 1 week from now as Alaskan athletes continue to do amazing things.
See you around.
All right. Appreciate you. We'll catch you next time.